I know I've talked with you guys on the channel before about the Reflex ball, and I want to re-stress again how important I think it is, not only because it brings some extra joy to your training, because it is fun, but also for the many benefits that it brings. And sometimes we always think, you know what, training needs to be hard. We need to be pushing ourselves, sweating, breathing crazy hard, but that's not always the case. And sometimes toning it down, and that's exactly what this does for me, toning it down gives me a little recoup session between hard things and brings in extra focus. And that's one of the first elements that I want to touch on why you should be using the Reflex ball. It's focus. Now, I will be real with you. Once you start getting better at it, like you're being consistent, and this is the first time I've picked this ball up in about 6 months, so I'm not great right now, and I feel my brain and all the focus that comes with that really having to work hard. As I get deeper into training camp, it really becomes more of a muscle memory thing, but right now, it's kind of tricky, and I'm making little mistakes, and that's the very first reason that you should get back in to the Reflex ball, play around with it, and challenge yourself. The next reason, before I get to the next reason, I should mention that I already have a video on how you can make this for yourself, right? You could grab one of the ones that's pre-made, somebody sent this over, but in all honesty, I really like this one. All right, it's the one that I've spent the most time on, so maybe that's why, but I do really like it. So you can make your own. $3, cost me $3 to make this. And I ended up actually making a couple others for people that wanted one. I also have a video there on how to start as a beginner, because it is very difficult when you start. The first time I picked this up, I was kind of all over the place, making all these mistakes. So I got you covered on those aspects. Are you a beginner level striker in the combat sports world who is struggling to take that basic technique and turn it into fast flowing combos during bag work? Or maybe you're intermediate level and you're struggling to take those well-built combos and actually execute them in sparring. Well, I have solutions for all of that. I'm a 2-time Glory kickboxing champion, and in my upcoming course, Strike Ready Assault, we are going to be specifically breaking down how you can increase your offense and become an effective striker. I have 25 plus videos for you, plus 3 live calls during our 5-week course. Doors close Sunday. Hit the link now and get registered before it's too late. So first of all, the focus. That's great. Really dial in. Next thing is the eyesight. Right? I know that very often there are massive elements of eyesight within fight sports, but if you're not training with somebody, you're not really getting that. Right? You need somebody across from you to really work. Okay, I gotta focus. If it's just bag work or shadow boxing, you don't get that same application of eye work. But with this, you can train by yourself and having to be tracking this ball the whole time. And in addition, when you start getting good at this, it's not just picking out of the air, it's also going, okay, it's coming at me, give it a good smack, and then you transition. Woo! Okay, so there is the eyesight element. And of course, eyesight is so enormous, such an enormous element of training. It doesn't matter if it's for slipping, like that makes lots of sense, but also for picking somebody right on their jaw out of the air, right? They're moving around and you're going, okay, I gotta find them. So the eyesight is so important. Hand-eye coordination is the next massive part, right? This is all over the place, and sometimes it spins around and you're going, whoa, what do I do with that? It's hard to get that straight punch off, so I'm going to transition to a hook. But still, the hand-eye coordination is enormous. And once you start getting good at that, it's not just going to be working those straight shots. You're going to start trying to get in some hooks. And the hooks become an extra element which makes you chase the ball. And once it starts going this direction, you can start adding your footwork so you don't get behind it, and then trying to hit it the other way, adding the uppercuts in and all that kind of stuff. It's so good. Now, the footwork element, like right now, obviously as I'm seated, there's no footwork. And a lot of people just spend most of their time on this just staying flat-footed and in place. But when you can start moving your feet around, you can start moving your feet and cutting those angles, playing around with it, you get that extra little element of the lower half of your body. I really got to get back into this. It's not going well for me today. Just trying to pick it out of the air is taking most of my attention and my focus. And that's something that I don't love. You know what else is always interesting? Is my knuckles get really sore. I mean, I've only been hitting it for about 3-4 minutes in this episode, and they're already getting tender. And I know that doesn't matter so much for any fight sports with boxing gloves or something like that, but I do always notice when I take those MMA gloves, when I start fighting in something like this, and I do my pad work, I go, oh, the knuckles are sore, and hopefully that's not a factor in the fight, but after the fight, 100%. I've had fights with these small gloves where I leave and my knuckles are bruised and sore. So if this brings an element to your MMA game where you're like, yeah, okay, I get a little bit of knuckle conditioning, nothing which is going to dramatically damage me, but I just get that light tap, tap, tap over and over, and it takes away that post soreness of the knuckle, which you can experience. It's just another reason. Now, you can tell from my thumbnail that Lomachenko uses these. He is well known for using all sorts of little extra training advantages, whether it be math, problem solving, playing with dominoes, placing things down, reflex ball. He is on it. And I think that just goes to show that this is not something that just, you know, average level fighters are using. The best boxer, one of the absolute best boxers in the world, is utilizing it. So bring this into your game. It is fun. It is extremely challenging. And it's not something like, oh, okay, I want to go and buy a speed bag. Where I go, okay, you know, I got to drop a decent amount of money. You really only need to go to a grocery or, you know, a hardware store or somewhere like Walmart, and you can pick up this little band, just a little elastic band. And aside from that, you got a nail, a tennis ball, and I'm sure you already have a hat at home. That's it. And if you're feeling like, you know what, I don't want to go about that route, then sure, you can pick up something online. I gotta say that as much as this is convenient, I don't like it as much for the simple fact that the hat stays really tight to my head. I find that when I hit this one, oh, this one's actually not bad. Interesting, I haven't actually used this since they sent it to me. It's a little bit more bounce, a little bit softer, but as I start hitting it hard, that's what I was talking about. As I start hitting it harder, I feel this flex, that little bounce, which I'm not a fan of, and the baseball hat doesn't do that. But yeah, you can absolutely do one of these, and either way, you're gonna have fun. Either way, you're gonna be going, wow, I wish I did this a while ago. And whether it's early in your training session or at the end, I think there's a great place for it. I have two options. Number one, I finished my shadow boxing, I'm warm, my heart rate's opened up, and I just go, okay, just a little bit of work just before I hit the pads to really focus in and make sure that I'm getting that accuracy on point. That's the first way I use it. The second is at the end of a training session, just before I do my abs, I do that, and it's just something to make sure I'm going, okay, I'm fatigued, but I have to really bring my focus to the highest level, even when I am fatigued. So I hope you guys bring this into your training. I hope you enjoy it. And again, we already have links on everything you need to know, how you need to learn it to bring you from that intermediate, advanced level down from beginner. You'll have fun. I guarantee it.